right, so wanted to give my thoughts on Jalen Johnson and just how great he has been at the start of the season so far. Not only establishing himself as a first-time All-Star, but also as an All-NBA level player and someone who I think is comfortable in that top 10 in the MVP conversation. He has been amazing in the absence of Trae Young. More specifically, in his last 7 games, he is putting up 25.5 points, along with 11.2 rebounds, 9.5 assists, 2.3 steals, and he is making over half of his shots from the floor and over 55% of his looks from downtown. So not only has he been dominant as a passer and as a rebounder and as a defender, but he has been great as a scorer and has diversified his scoring attack, knocking down shots on the interior as a driver and also making his three-pointers at the best rate of his career. This is the absolute definition of stepping up in the absence of a key player. I don't care what your opinion of Trae Young is. He is an amazing basketball player. He is an all-star when he's healthy, all of those things. When you lose Trae Young, you lose a lot. For example, right now, Atlanta is playing at a slower pace without Trae Young. That is a byproduct of not having Trae Young. So Trae Young is a key player. He is an elite offensive guy. When you don't have him, there are going to be some issues, right? I don't care what your opinion of him in his game is. No Trae Young is a big hit on your roster. So a ton of credit needs to go to Jalen Johnson for stepping up in a massive way in the absence of a great basketball player. Like seeing Jalen Johnson go from a really good role player last season when he was healthy to being a guy that Atlanta can run their offense through completely has been amazing. And statistically, he has been in some elite territory this season. He is one of 3 players who is averaging at least 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists per game on the year. That is himself. That is Nikola Jokic, who is the best player in the NBA, and also Alperen Şengün. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I think right now Jalen Johnson is comfortably in the MVP conversation, and I think he is floating around that 6th or 7th spot on the MVP ladder as things stand right now. And I have 5 specific reasons as to why I think he is that high on the ladder currently. For one, he is leading Atlanta to a 9-4 record without Trae Young. I said it earlier, I don't care what your thoughts and opinions are of Trae Young. He is a great basketball player. Not having him is a huge hit to your roster, and Jalen Johnson has stepped up and kept this team afloat in a crucial year. Reason number 2 is his insane plus minus and the off and on numbers. Atlanta is 39 points per possession better with him on the floor than they are with him off the floor over their last 8-game stretch. So as I said, Quinn Snyder has put a lot of trust in running the offense through Jalen Johnson, and that is leading to a better offense for this team and has gotten them off to this solid start. Reason number 3 is he has the best all-around stat line out of any player at that small forward position across the entire league. Flat out. I can't name anybody else who's playing the small forward spot or the wing spot, as some people call it, who is doing better from an all-around complete standpoint. Reason number 4, he has been flat out the best small forward in the Eastern Conference. Now, to be fair, Paolo Banchero has been hurt, and he does swing a bit from the small forward spot and the power forward spot. Jason Tatum has not played so far this year, so I do want to be fair and give that some level of consideration. But regardless, there are still some great players who play the small forward spot in the East that are healthy this year, right? There's Jaylen Brown and a few other guys, and Jalen Johnson has been the standout player at that position out East. My final reason is that I think that Jalen Johnson has been the 2nd best player at his position across the entire league. As I said, I know that a lot of players who play the small forward spot have been hurt this year. LeBron is still trying to get back in the swing of things coming off of an injury, but as things stand, the only guy who I think has been better at the small forward spot has been Kevin Durant this season. I want to get back to the entire Trae Young conversation. I did reference it a little bit at the beginning of the video. There's this conversation and this narrative going around that Atlanta is better without Trae Young, right? And I get it. Whenever a team is playing well without their best player, the default opinion is the team is better without that guy. I never think that's the case. I never think that's true. I've made this point before. No matter what numbers you look at, you don't feel comfortable going into a playoff series without your best player. Flat out. So Atlanta is not going to be comfortable going into a playoff series without a player like Trae Young, who is experienced. He has closed out big playoff games and big playoff series. You don't feel confident going into a postseason series without Trae Young. No matter what numbers you look at, no matter what the regular season record is, you're not going to feel confident going into a playoff series without a guy like Trae Young. And I also think that entire narrative of the Hawks being better without Trae Young takes a lot of credit away from Jalen Johnson and other role players for stepping up. Atlanta is not better because Trae Young is not on the court. They're better because role players and guys like Jalen Johnson were able to take a massive step up to keep this team sustainable out in the Eastern Conference. Those are two completely different conversations and ways to frame it. Atlanta is not by default better because Trae Young is not out there playing basketball. Atlanta is better because role players and guys like Jalen Johnson took a massive step up. Jalen Johnson was able to answer the call and take on a larger role in the offense to keep things moving and keep things sustainable for Atlanta in a crucial point for this franchise. So all in all, I love what Jalen Johnson has done. Again, I think he has done more than just establish himself as an all-star. He has been in the most improved player conversation. He has also been in the All-NBA conversation, and I think he is around 6 or 7 in the MVP conversation, which is huge for a young player under the age of 25. So hopefully he can stay consistent, not just in the absence of Trae Young, but also when Trae Young does come back. Even when Young is healthy, Atlanta still needs this elite level all-around version of Jalen Johnson.